Hey house guests, welcome to today's Big Brother 16 updates and spoilers. Our house guest of the day is Susan, and Susan is wondering, is there any other way that they could pick out the order of the HOH's nominations other than the random draw with the eggs that they're doing right now? Because she said it seems a little unfair, and it could really mess up whoever goes second. But as we've seen so far, it hasn't really had a big impact on the game because all of the HOHs have stayed true to what they said they were going to do to their co-HOH. So it hasn't really been a factor, but I see what you're saying. I mean, maybe like a coin flip or something. It's just one of the things you have to deal with when you have two HOHs, but this twist is over next week, so yay! Alright, so if you want to be house guest of the day, send me a private message on YouTube. Alright, so yesterday they had the Power of Veto competition and it was Zingbot. So everyone except for Zach and Derek were competing, and apparently it was a very quick competition. It took like less than 10 minutes, more than 5, less than 10, and Frankie was the big winner of the Power of Veto. Also, Kathy Griffin was there. What? First they get Gilbert Gottfried, now they get Kathy Griffin? That's crazy. So there were multiple zings per person. I think Zingbot was throwing some out. I think Kathy Griffin said some. And, I mean, we're not going to see all of them on TV, but hopefully we'll see the really zingy ones. So let's go through some of the zings that we know about. So I have some of these pretty much word for word, and then some of the other ones I just have an idea of what was said, so you know, you gotta take what you can get. So Donnie, you look like Duck Dynasty, but your social game is more like Suck Dynasty. Oh. Zach, I thought I heard somebody say something about him looking like Timmy Turner. I don't know. Who's Timmy Turner again? That's not the guy from Fairly Odd Parents, is it? I don't know. But another one was, you know what's cool about doing the gator chop and being unemployed? Nothing. Oops. It's late on Sunday. Frankie, you look pale. It must be hard to get any sun living in your sister's shadow. He freaking loved that. Really? Derek, there's a lot of attractive guys in the house this year. Oh wait, I didn't see you, Derek. Ooh, they called him ugly. Victoria, I don't know what hers was word for word, but it was something about not even playing the game. She took that one hard. Caleb, again, I don't know the exact wording, but something about how he should be called, thank you, Beast Mode Cowgirl instead of Beast Mode Cowboy because he wears so much makeup. True. I didn't hear any mention of Amber in his zings. From what I heard, if there's no mention of him being a stalker or something about Amber, what is going on in the world? Seriously. Cody and Christine, theirs were connected a little bit, some of them. First, Cody got something about Zac Efron and being obsessed with him, and then his other one was like how Christine is always touching him. Touchy subject. Christine, they made fun of her tattoos, and then again, touchy subject. They mentioned, I think they mentioned her husband's name, Tim, and how he said in his letter when she was the HOH, don't forget about me, okay? And that was really, really messing with her. She was like, oh, I want to ask the diary room not to air that one. Like, it's so messed up that they included my husband. And she's like, oh, I'm not worried about Tim because, you know, we can talk about this. She's worried about what her community and her pastor will think of her. I'd be a little bit worried about your husband too. I'm just saying. So Cody was totally pouting. What's new? He was like, oh, all of the girls rub my hair like that. I flirt with everyone. So Victoria is comforting him, of course. You know, nails on the back, rubbing on. And Zach is like, Zach is great. He's like, you know, these things just don't come out of thin air. There's got to be some substance there. So he's kind of like egging it on, but he's right. I mean, this is stuff that we see. Zingbot knows what's up. So he was saying that all throughout the night, and he was just like, you guys are kind of always touching each other. So Cody was very defensive about it. Christine was upset, but it's the Zingbot. So let's go back to the game talk. Caleb pulled Frankie aside and started asking him about the power veto. Frankie's like, yeah, man, I'm gonna use it on you. You're gonna be safe. And Caleb's like, all right, all right. All right. So then he's like, you should backdoor Zach this week. And Frankie's like, hey, I'll totally do it if everyone's on board. So Cody, Derek, and Caleb were all talking in the fire room after Derek kicked out Victoria because, of course, Victoria is a girl and she's not allowed to talk about strategy with them. So they all decide that they definitely want Zach to go up on the block against Cody. So then Frankie walks in the room, they tell him, and he agrees to it. And he's like, yeah, as long as we just don't tell Zach until right before because they don't want to deal with the drama. So that's going to be crazy. But then Frankie is like, yeah, I want to euthanize Zach this week. It was so effing creepy. He was like, yeah, I just want to like turn on that drip until he slowly dies or something. Like, it was just really creepy. And Cody, he's just nailing it lately. Cody says, wow, it's amazing how Frankie knows that word euthanize. I don't know that word. Moving on. The house guests celebrated getting zinged with a big family dinner last night. They had pasta and salmon, and they were treated to Frankie regaling the house guests with tales from the Broadway and his days in the cast of Mamma Mia. And then the other normal house guests were sharing their boring stories, and it was a real fight for the spotlight between Zach, Caleb, and Frankie. They all wanted to have the best stories. So Caleb kind of ruined things for me when he brought out this gross story about his brother getting his butt waxed. And every time Caleb says the word butt, he doesn't just say butt like a normal person. He says, yeah, his butt, like Cactus Butt in Lion King. It's crazy. So then they shared some sports stories. Zach told a funny one, which is very Zach, about how he pulled down some kid's shorts during a basketball game, and like immediately after he was super embarrassed that he did that. I could see him doing that. It's not surprising. I guess that was in high school. That's pretty messed up. So Caleb was telling everyone to look up his high school football highlight reel on YouTube, and I'm just picturing this. It's probably like Uncle Rico in Napoleon Dynamite outside of his van with the camera on the tripod. He's like, I could throw this football over the mountains. It's just like that, I'm sure. If you find it, let me know. So then Frankie was talking to Christine later on last night, and he was telling her about the plan to backdoor Zach. Of course, she loves it. She doesn't want Zach to stick around. So then they were talking about how awesome it is that they're getting rid of Zach this week so that they'll still have Victoria and Donnie around to get rid of in the next few weeks. I've got news for you guys. Derek will definitely keep Victoria over you. So it's not looking good for you. But they think that they're going to slide right into the Final Four. I don't think so. So let's talk about some more crazy things that came out of Frankie's mouth last night. He wants to be the one to ruin Zach's game. He wants to be the one that does this. And he wants to make sure that Zach has no hope of staying. He wants to tell him, like, look, you're done. It's over. Also, he said, I want to put the baby to sleep and then stab it in the heart. What the hell is wrong with you? So late last night, Christine was rereading her letter from her husband from when she was HOH. She's clearly very upset by what Zingbot said. So she was crying, and then Derek came over and comforted her, married person to married person. And he was like, oh, you've done nothing wrong. Like, nothing that you've done would offend me as a husband. Like, if his wife was doing that. I find that a little difficult to believe. But he was trying to make her feel better. So he was like, yeah, you didn't cheat on your husband, which, you know, she didn't. But still, I feel like some boundaries have been crossed. It's not cool. So he was like, yeah, you didn't mess up. But now that you know that people are making something of this, you could dial it back a little bit. or a lot. So he's like, yeah, you can talk to me whenever, we're both married, yeah. So, moving on, Victoria got her chance to talk to Derek and open up about something that's been bothering her. So, she shared her story about her hair extensions. She's like, yeah, I have these extensions, and I lost my hair a few years ago or whatever. And she was talking about how she keeps having these really bad headaches and her scalp is bleeding because she's not supposed to wear the extensions all the time, and she's on this medication. And Derek is like, wow, your health is definitely more important. Maybe you should not wear them so much. And she's like, but we're on national TV. And I just can't help but think of that episode of Arrested Development when Tobias gets the hair plugs and his body rejects them and he's freaking in a wheelchair and dying, but he doesn't want to take the plugs out. So, I mean, I just see so many parallels there. Hopefully Victoria will, you know, wisen up and take out the extensions. We want to see you live. So, come on now. Let's talk about Team America. They really got the ball rolling on this next task. Derek snagged Zach's gator shirt away. He pried it out of his clench, and the first attempt was actually a fail. He couldn't find it for a while. That's because Zach has it freaking locked up. So he eventually did get it, and he hid it in the storage room with the other stuff. So Frankie took Christine's bear and hid it with his own hat with the other stolen goods. Donnie, his job was to take Caleb's bunny slippers, but Caleb was awake with him this morning. Usually everyone else is asleep, but Caleb was awake, wearing the slippers, and then Caleb finally went back to bed in the HOH room, and he had the slippers right next to the bed, so it was tricky, so he didn't do it. But Big Brother had lots of random announcements for the house guests today. Translation, wake the F up. They were talking about the number of marbles on Chinese checkerboard, the number of laps that you have to swim a mile in the pool, and the number of laps to walk around the backyard for a mile. And they're like, house guests, enjoy this because these are the good old days. Donnie was laughing to himself about that. They also opened the photo booth a little earlier than usual. The only people awake when it opened were Donnie and Christine. That's so sad. So then some other people took pictures later, but wake up! So Derek and Frankie were trying to plan out their evening because it's going to be very complicated with Team America stuff and with the Zach thing. So they're trying to figure out when they were going to start the neighborhood watch and when they were going to tell Zach that he's going up on the block and he's going home. So they were talking about it and they were like, let's start the neighborhood watch first. Let's start it while Zach is happy. Let's get his shift out of the way or whatever while he's all yellow lab. And then they'll tell him after. And Frankie's like, all right, it's going to be rough telling him. And Derek is like, well, I don't think you should tell him alone. Like, you don't know how Zach is going to react. What do you think he's going to do? So he's saying that the whole bomb squad group should be present. And then they change their minds and they decide, let's tell Zach first what's going to happen with the POV replacement nom. And then tomorrow morning, let's write that message on the mirror saying that everyone needs to watch their stuff. And then they're going to pin the whole thing on Zach. They're even going to name the neighborhood watch Zach Patrol. So, meanwhile, Donnie takes Cody's hat and his own visor and stashes it with all the other stuff. And Cody notices that his hat is missing. He's freaking out. He's tearing up the whole house looking for it. And Derek is like, hey man, my hat's missing too. My beanie's, it's gone. So Cody, like I said, he's looking all around the house. He's asking everyone about it. Everyone's just like, I have no idea, bro. So Cody gets so close to finding the stash in the storage room. He's just like, it's here, and he's like, seriously, he just misses it. So then he's like accusing people. Everyone's screaming, saboteur, saboteur, like what's going on? So people start blaming Zach because why wouldn't you? And then everyone's like, all right, house meeting. We're gonna have a house meeting. We're gonna try and figure out who has an alibi, whatever. And they're gonna search through people's stuff. So we're gonna pick it up here tomorrow. and it's gonna be exciting to see how this neighborhood watch goes. So it looks like they're not following the order that they previously discussed with the whole Zach thing, but it should be exciting, so don't miss tomorrow. And until then, much love.
Edit.